Go live. What is up, everybody? This is Frank Klesitz. It's been a long time since I've seen many of you on the Keeping It Real shows. If you go back to keepingitreal.com, we started these shows, I believe back in 2013 or 14, when Google Hangouts was actually just came out around then. It's actually crazy to think how far technology has come. Only a few short years, but the Real Geeks team invited me back to host, along with my partner, Greg Harrelson here, my co-host, some really good, in-depth, detailed, specific, actionable interviews for you, where it's our job to ask the detailed questions that you need and keep these interviews moving so you can get a plan to go sell more houses and make money. That's what we're all about. So I'm glad to be back. I'm Frank Klesitz, co-host Greg Harrelson. And I'm going to introduce you to Brendan here shortly. All of his details are in the description. But with that, a couple housekeeping items. First is we're on YouTube Live. And if you're on YouTube Live, that's probably the best place to watch this. It'll redirect you there in some way. There's a little chat box there on the right for you. So feel free to ask any questions. If there's anything you want to know, feel free to ask in the chat. And I'll either interject and ask Brendan during the interview, and we'll have some time afterwards at the end where it is dedicated Q&A. Sound good? Second, I'd like you to subscribe to our new season of Keeping It Real. You can go to keepingitreal.com. Put your email address in. You will only receive Keeping It Real updates of the show. So you know what's going on with what top realtors are doing to sell houses. You won't get anything else. You're not going to get any other pitches or anything else to buy anything else. It's purely just subscribe to the show. And we're also on iTunes, YouTube. You can also join the Real Geeks Facebook page. You can like us in the Real Geeks Facebook page and you'll see it there. And with that, I think we're ready to rock. Greg Harrelson, say hi.
Man, I'm excited. I tell you what, I'm like you. I was just thinking when you said, what is it? Google what?
Google Hangouts.
Google Hangouts.
It just came out like in 2014.
But
that was like a new technology.
That really kicked off a whole nother direction, right? Of us and the way that we curate content and we go out there and speak to the to the real estate industry. So it's amazing how far we've come since then. It's awesome. But that was what started it all off. So I'm excited to be here. I know we're going to have a great guest today in Brendan. I've got my notepad. I was actually calling some of my staff and said, make sure you watch this guy. So I'm excited about not only himself, but what we're going to have over the rest of the year. So let's get rocking.
So real quick, before we get into Brendan, before we do your introduction, my firm is Viral Marketing. We partner with Real Geeks and we help you stay in touch with your database. That's all you're going to hear about that. So you know a little bit who I am. And then Greg Harrelson, one of the top selling realtors in the nation, arguably some of the highest per agent productivity at his brokerage. Greg, just let us know maybe how many agents you have and how many homes are sold through the organization you run to give people some context of who you are.
Yeah, right now I have around 187, I think, 185, 187 agents broken into 3 different marketplaces, all within the state of South Carolina. And we closed right at 3,500 transactions last year. So a lot of transactions, a lot going on, and having a lot of fun doing it, man.
That is an incredible organization you built, man. So with that, we're going to move on to Brendan. Brendan, say hello.
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
We're really glad to have you here, man. The title of this YouTube video is Bulletproof Lead Follow-Up. So if you click this on YouTube and you're watching live, Frank, get to the point. I want to know how to follow with my leads and convert them to business. So I'm going to ask you kind of the first question, Brendan. You sold about, I believe in the write-up I have in front of me, I have a lot of windows up, about 230 homes last year. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, our team sold about 230 last year. I also, like Greg, have a brokerage type setup. So we sold about 1,500 homes with the brokerage. But yeah, and to be on here with Greg, I mean, Greg was probably the game changer that got me to this level. I mean, once we realized what he was utilizing with Real Geeks, and he was cutting edge so far ahead of his time that we started kind of doing everything he was doing. And then of course we tried to evolve it the best we could, but I really have to give thanks to Greg. If it wasn't for you, I don't think I'd be sitting here today. So first of all, thank you so much. It's an honor to be on this with you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I didn't realize that, but you're very welcome. Yeah. And I'm excited to learn from you because I know that, like you said, you've kind of taken it on your own direction, and just seeing some of the small things that, or the few things that I've seen about what you got going on, it's like, hey, I'm going to take some notes myself. So it's amazing how it goes full circle.
Love it. Love it.
So for our viewers here, if you're on the YouTube page, I'm going to post some assets for you that Brendan shared with us, which we'll be covering today. The first is a PDF of Brendan's Bulletproof buyer lead follow-up process. There we go. Just a 4 minutes of introductions. We're into the content, guys. There's a link that should work. It's a public Google Drive file. Let me know if it doesn't for you in the chat. That's his buyer lead follow-up plan. It's in the chat link. I'm also going to put the center of influence or sphere of influence, your sphere follow-up plan, like the diagram, and put that there in the chat for you guys. In addition to that, when you have a seller lead coming in, probably from a maybe instant offer or find out what your home is worth type opt-in, which we're going to talk about how the leads come in, I'm going to put that in the chat as well. So you'll be able to follow along with those assets and if you pull them up as we talk about the buyer lead follow-up. So here's the promise for today, Brendan. You have dialed in great detail a bulletproof real estate lead follow-up plan. We have an audience of real estate professionals here that have probably generated leads, many on the Real Geeks platform, but you could be doing on many platforms. You got to follow up with these leads. I think the very first question is the definition of a lead. And it's a very loose definition for many real estate professionals. Let's talk about how you generate your leads and the offers you put out on AdWords, the offers that you put out on Facebook. And really, how do you capture information? What are people responding to? So understand what leads we're talking about in the first place.
Yeah, no, and Frank, that's the big thing. So that word lead in classification it's just someone that has interest at some point. So they could be sitting in their pajamas at 2 a.m. on Facebook, and a little ad pops up that says, "Hey, curious how much your value's gone up in the last 10 years on your home? Click here to find out how much it's gone up." They click on that ad, put in some information. And we have 2 different types of leads. One, they fill out the complete form and put in email, phone, and all this, or they just put in their address. And Frank, that's the big piece. Once we get that address, and if we have the address, because they're going to put that in regardless, now we can go behind the scenes and, not to say stalk them, but hunt down the rest of that information later, or just market to them via direct mail, door knock them, or whatever it is. So that's an entry point lead for a seller. For the buyers, we know the whole thing is they want to look at properties, right? So on our pay-per-click, we have ads running that says, "Hey, look at denverloftsonline.com. All the latest loft listings in Denver for you automatically, right? For free." They click on that lead, they go look at one property on our website, and then a little pop-up, which we call a forced registration, pops up saying, "Thank you for being on our website. If you'd like to see all the amazing properties that are available, we're going to need a little bit of information." They fill out that contact information form, and then of course that turns into a registration, right? Registration/lead. So once that comes in, then, I guess, I can talk about all the lead sources. I mean, we do radio, TV, we do all kinds of different things. Depends on what that entry point is. We still know that every single person that comes in has to be, in our phrase, processed or nurtured 100%.
Before we get into that processing, Brendan, because I want to talk a lot about that, those diagrams here. What are the Facebook pages that people could go to see some of the content you're publishing? What are the names of the pages you're running the ads under? Do you happen to know?
Well, it wouldn't be through the pages. So you can go to the Bartic Group Facebook page and you can see everything we're doing there. In addition to what we're doing as far as the Facebook ads, it's also obviously the big thing right now, Frank, and I'm sure Greg knows, is retargeting. So as soon as we have somebody even slightly interested that ends up on our site, we have retargeting ads that are popping us up over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, where they're basically like, "I see your bald head everywhere," right? And it's like, but that's the amount of consistency we need to have to make sure that it's triggering it. Also, one of the bigger leads forms that we have that we really try to focus on is we do giveaways on our Facebook page. So people call in for a giveaway we do random things like Yeti cooler, Dyson vacuum cleaners, all kind of things. The entry point is still the same. However we get them into the top of the funnel, once we start that, we do investor seminars, buyer seminars, all these different things. We know that there's an incubation period that has to happen on average before any of these things are going to turn into a transaction. So we're more concerned about the relationship, not, "Hey, we got a bunch of them. This person's not interested right now, so I'm just going to throw them away or I'm not going to mess with them." For us, it's how many people can we put into our MET database, meaning people that we've had a conversation with, interacted with, and then we have this other database called our haven't met. And we nurture both of those databases very differently because we know that I always give the analogy of a big mining machine, right? A mining machine can process 10 tons of dirt an hour and process out all the gold, where a lot of agents are out there with a pan of gold in a river trying to just do it individually. And you have to have the machine working the system, right?
So before we get in that machine, I want to share a tip with all the viewers. You said your Facebook page is the Bartic group, correct?
Correct.
Where you run the ads. For everyone watching here, this is kind of a thing most people don't know, but you can use the Facebook ad library. Just Google Facebook ad library and type in anyone's page, any page on Facebook, and you can see all the ads that run. So as we talk about the types of leads that are coming in, I'm going to share my screen briefly. Brendan, these apparently are the Facebook ads that you run.
Yeah, there's my head.
There we go. So you can go do a search on anyone, any business, Zillow, any agent, and actually see the ads that run. Here's an example. Here is what you're curious what your home is worth. And someone goes there to the landing page, you can see all the details. But these are the types of ads. You could spend time researching the types of ads, the types of messages that are going out to the marketplace, whether it's on Facebook or direct mail or whatever it may be, radio, right? Probably internet leads. We're talking AdWords and Facebook for the most part, right?
Yep.
And you're capturing them all into one system, but they're generally a little more top of funnel is what you're saying.
Correct.
So they need some time to nurture, which we alluded to in the description of 540 days.
Exactly right. And as I said, we also do, Zillow leads, we do all kinds, there's a combination of these things. And as we were talking about a little bit earlier, it's just finding the right balance, right? It's a lot of people just think it's quantity. I need more leads. It's not the case. You need the amount of leads with just equal parts of time and investment of you nurturing them. And that's where you find that balance that really starts to produce.
So one last question before we get into the nurture, which Greg, you're going to really help out with the scripting and some questions on what to say.
I have something to comment on this too, if I can, before you get into your next thing, Frank. And that is, I just want to make an observation. I wrote down one of the challenges that I see in the industry, and I love Brendan's opinion on this, is real estate agents have the tendency to determine the quality of lead based on the time frame they believe that lead's going to convert. Okay, so when we talk about how good is a lead, I would say, do they really want to buy a property? Yes, then they're a great lead, right? But the agent's going to look at it as, but they really don't want to buy for 6 months, so therefore the lead's no good. Right. And I think we've made a mistake. And what I'm picking up here, Brendan, is that you've recognized that. And so you understand that all leads are good. It's the time frame may be different. So you could be a great lead, but have a different time frame, and let the time frame dictate what you're going to do to incubate that opportunity, so you're still at the top of the mind whenever that time frame comes. I just wanted to kind of throw that out there, because that's kind of what's going through my mind as you're talking.
Yeah, and that's exactly right, Greg. And then it's also just looking at that word lead and switching it up and going, it's a person, right? That person might have a mom, a dad, a grandma, refer you business. We are looking at just trying to get into relationships and look at not every single person as a turn and burn. Hey, I got this lead. They need to buy in 30 days. If not, I'm on to the next. Is this person someone that I can work with over time? And if they're not, then I put them in my haven't met bucket, my bigger kind of churning machine that we use more automation for, also mixed with personal touches. But I'm not going to invest so much personal touch into them. But a lot of agents, as you know, Greg, just don't have the back office system built. And so they get frustrated when they start in the internet lead game, because they're like, I'm buying these leads, but I'm not getting anywhere. And it's like, well, because the average turnaround time is way longer than you think. And you're just thinking that I'm spending $200 a lead from realtor.com or Zillow or whatever it is, and they should be buying right now. Well, as we all know, Greg, if that was the case, we'd all be cajillionaires, right? The lead we bought for $200 bought a house, boy, it'd be the best day ever. But that's just not the case.
And people need to understand that, like, your new lead is actually some other realtor's old lead.
Yeah.
And your old lead is actually going to be some other realtor's new lead tomorrow.
Yep.
And so and that's a mindset. Like, if we actually looked at all of our leads and we courted all of our new leads like they were new relationships, then it would be amazing. Because, like, the guy that gets the new lead tomorrow and sets an appointment and writes a contract in the next week was an old lead in somebody else's database that wasn't doing what you're talking about doing.
Yeah. And the words you used that jumped out at me was courted. I love that word, right? Like people have to look at it as you're courting this person. We're trying to go to the movies. We're going to hold hands. It's going to take a long time before we get married. I can't just meet you day one and be like, hey, want to get married? I mean, some people do that, and you might find that lucky once in a while. I don't know how many times it works out, but we have to court them over a period of time for that relationship to mature. So yeah, it's a great word.
So a question in everyone's mind I want to get back to, and we're going to spend more time on the economics and profit and of this, but just from some of the Facebook ads that you run. So you have some ads running, find out what your home is worth. Do you know what you're paying per lead or per opt-in on that page roughly for the audience in Denver?
Yeah, well, for the Facebook ads, I mean, we're anywhere from $5 to about $7.50 per registration.
For a home value report. And then you also run the
home
cash offer ones. What's your price you pay in Denver for, like, get an offer on your home type of an ad, which is probably more stronger lead?
It goes up to about $15.
That's really good.
Yeah.
$15 is really good. Curious for, search for homes. You probably have another page running search for homes type of ads. What are you paying for a buyer lead in Denver when someone registers on your, in this case, Real Geek site to find out, more about a property?
Yeah, it's right around $25 right now.
So your seller leads are less than your buyer leads?
Yeah, as it stands now, because of how hot our market is. I mean, we're such a heavy listing side market right now that we've been putting so much effort into those campaigns that, yeah, that is the heavier thing for us right now.
So we're paying about $25 an opt-in off Facebook for find out what your, buyer
registration.
lead.
Yeah.
Yep. $15 for, get an offer on your home. That's really good. $5 to $7.50 for find out what your home is worth. And you're doing a little bit of AdWords. Do you know what your cost per lead on AdWords is for those same types of things, what you're running right now, just to give the audience an idea of what you have to pay for leads, maybe in Denver market today?
Yeah, well, so with the company that we utilize that is doing it, so you're asking for the cash offers or which ones for pay-per-click?
Whatever you're running on AdWords. So AdWords is Google. Yeah. So someone goes to Google and types in something. There's generally a higher search intent. They're a little more expensive. Your ads show up on the top of Google. Yeah. We just gave some Facebook cost per leads. I'm just curious to know cost per lead on AdWords.
Average across the board on pay-per-click on AdWords is about $40
a lead.
Correct.
Yeah. That's not per click, guys. That's per lead. So it probably takes a few clicks to get there.
No, that's per registration form completed.
So if you took your total ad spend for, let's say, the month on that campaign and you divide it by how many people opted in, that's your cost per lead. Correct. That's what we're talking to get you guys caught up. Okay. You saw some of the offers, names, numbers, phone numbers are coming in. This is the big question. Let's talk about seller lead follow-up. Bulletproof seller lead follow-up. Brendan, I'm a new agent on your team. I want to convert these leads. What do I do? What's the plan?
Yeah, no, and absolutely. And so, and I don't know if you want to pull up the flow chart or we can just talk about the flow chart, but a lot of times it's easier to kind of see it. And it's a tale of two stories, right? So of course, no matter what, we're going to call them immediately. And when we call them right out of the gate, if they answer, then there's a path that we're going to take that's going to move forward with them. If they don't answer, we hang up immediately and then we call back a second time. In the industry, they call this a double tap. Some people think doesn't work. Some people think it works. We do that immediately. Right. So as we take them through this progression, right, then of course, you're going to leave a voicemail. Now, when we go to leave a voicemail, if they don't answer the phone, we never tell them that we're in the industry. We never tell them that I'm with XYZ real estate company. It's, hey, this is Brendan. I have a quick question for you. Can you give me a call back? Because we know if we can't get them on the phone, then we're never going to have a chance to talk to them about buying or selling real estate. So we never use our real estate information, never have any of that in there. So then as it progresses, if we're still not able to talk to them, then we put them into our CRM, which we happen to use Real Geeks for years and years and years and have had great success with it. But you can apply this system to I coach agents all across the country that use XYZ CRM and have the exact same success with it the same way. All we're doing is, Greg knows, and I learned a lot of this from Greg, is we have to classify lead types and source them, of course. So we bring them in with type buyer F1. And when we talk about our F1 system, we just developed a hybrid system of different agents out there where for the first 6 days in a row, we do a certain amount of, we call them every day, we text them every day, email them every day for 6 days in a row. On the 7th day, we rest. Then after that, we put them into a classification. Go ahead.
No, so that's good. I like that.
Oh, okay. Then we put them into a classification called NC Weekly. which means not contacted weekly. Because what we found that was fascinating to us is if you continue to schedule actual follow-up calls forever and ever and ever, the agents and myself get so inundated with past due follow-ups that they were just going, they get overwhelmed. They go, I have 163 past due follow-ups. So the tweak that we made is we said, okay, instead of continuing to schedule follow-up calls, put them into an NC weekly, use Mojo or a dialer system to export them out weekly, and then call that list until you make contact. They either say, go to heck, we love you, or do something with them. And we do that every single week until that happens, right? So that process was a real game changer for us as far as after the F6 process. So then we have campaigns set up. So we have a text campaign.
Brendan, can you be clear on F1, F6? That's
F1
follow-up, I'm assuming.
Yeah, exactly. Follow-up 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6. So when I go into my system, if I call them and they don't answer, I'm going to put in the notes of anything that, well, if they didn't talk to them, there's probably not much notes. And then I'm just going to set a follow-up for F1. So when I pull up my dashboard, I'm going to go, wow, okay, today I've got 6 F1s, 3 F2s, 4 F3s, 5 F4s. And then I go to all my people that I've actually spoken with. And
which is what follow-up stage they're in.
Exactly. And we know from doing this, usually the highest level of return is on that 5th or 6th follow-up call, because the person, and the way the script is, hey, look, Frank, I'm not trying to bother you, but we just take such pride in when someone says that they have a request for information in my organization, I want to do everything I can. So if you don't have any interest, just give me a call back, let me know. So it's the psychology of more the guilt, right? Human nature is, man, I'm going to call this guy back because he's probably not going to stop, right? And it's like, so, and then we had to leverage technology with a dialer to make sure that it wasn't taking so long to do every individual call after that 6-day process. Does that make sense?
A lot discussed here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's step back and maybe summarize this. This is pretty sweet. So lead comes in, how fast do you call it?
Immediately, seconds.
How do you know that? How do you know how fast your leads are being called?
So in the Real Geek system, we're able to reassign that lead. So our agents know if it's not addressed within 5 minutes, it's being assigned to the next agent. So they know that clock when they receive a new lead.
That's an incredible feature.
It's an incredible feature. It really is. So that's kind of the thing, but it's also just a cultural thing going, look, we know that speed to lead is everything. I have team meetings where I go over all the stats and, hey, this is why it's so important. And I think I got a lot of them probably from Real Geeks, but yeah, absolutely. Speed to lead is.
Second thing, when you call, they don't answer, double tap.
Double tap.
You just call them back right away, right?
Yeah, hang up, don't leave a message, call back a second time.
Then leave a message?
Then leave a message, but not giving any contact information, just saying, hey, this is Brendan, I have a couple questions for you. Can you give me a call back? They don't know who you are, why you're calling. They have to, well, they don't have to. They will normally call you back out of curiosity.
So an unbranded double tap.
Voicemail, yeah.
Voicemail. Guys catch that? Okay. Now you're calling, email, and texting every day for 6 days?
Correct.
Once a day?
Once a day. Yep. Usually on the first day, depending on what time the lead comes in, they'll call twice that day. We usually try to double call that day, but it just depends. And to the text campaign, and I don't know if I got this from Greg, I believe it was Greg that taught it to me, is the nudge text. So you send a text right after you hang up the phone with them, because you're going to click the workflow to start in the CRM or in Real Geeks. And then 6 minutes later, it sends what we call a nudge text, which says, hey, I'm not sure if you got my last text. Just wanted to make sure it went through. And the psychology behind this, Frank, is so bizarre. And people will respond to that nudge text like butter. I don't know what it is with that.
The response rate to that is like incredible.
It's insane.
It's incredible.
Yeah. And I think I got it from you. And when I heard it, I was like, really? I was like, that's going to make it. And sure enough, everybody on the team was like, man, the nudge text is amazing. And I was like, thank you.
So let me slow down, because this is gold. So you call, leave a voicemail, and then I guess you text right away. We don't hear anything. But 6 minutes later, the nudge text gets the response.
Correct. Hey, did you get my last text? Right? Question mark?
Yeah. Got it. Okay.
So yeah.
And then you're doing this every day for 6 days, then it's off, then it just goes into a bin.
Yeah. And then also, well, the rest of the process too is we're also setting, if it's a buyer lead, we're setting them up on a search on the site. Based upon if we have any clue of what they're interested in, we automatically set them up on a search. So let's say Denver 300 to 400,000. If we have any indication of what they were looking at, then we'll do that. If we have no idea and it was just a random Facebook buyer lead, then we'll still just put them on a general campaign, Denver 350 to 450. And when they start getting the properties, because we know buyers want to see properties, if they're on the wrong campaign, they'll usually respond back to us and be like, hey, why are you sending me Denver properties? Oh my gosh, my fault. I'm so sorry. When can I talk about your actual home search, right? And it's so, again, it's still just an automated touch that they're going, oh, wow, this guy's sending me properties. So we set them up on the custom search. And then the last step for us is putting them on a market report. Now, you have the market report built into Real Geeks in the CRM. We also have a third party that we use. It's called Altos Research. And we just happen to use them because it's part of our CMA process that we do, and it has really pretty graphs and charts and all of this, great looking stuff that we utilize just as another layer of contact point, which we get a lot of responses on. So there's a whole kind of series of these things that have to happen. And then mixed in that, if we behind the scenes, we use what's called truepeoplesearch.com. We'll try to find them, connect with them on social, try to find any other information we can. And if we can find a home address, we'll send a handwritten note card as well. So there's a lot that goes into it.
Why True People Search? A lot of those, you tried a lot. Why that?
Yeah, True People Search seems to be the best source that we found for free. We actually pay for another company that's similar to what's called Nexus Lexis, if you know what that is. Nexus Lexis is like what bounty hunters use to find like people that skip bounties, and like what people use to find like to serve papers for divorce. It's expensive. It's like $1,500 a month. So we also use that because we believe that data is it's more.
What happens when a couple mailing addresses come back? Do you mail them all?
Say that again.
What happens when a couple mailing addresses come back from the people search?
Yeah, no, on True People Search. If we think it's like, if your name is John Smith and we can't really narrow it down, we won't send the mail. Like, yeah, there's no, we're not going to sit here and write 5 handwritten note cards to 5 known addresses. So it's usually just if we really feel confident that we can pull.
Those are actually written by the person and mailed from, nothing automated. It's just
No, everyone on their desk has stacks of cards, Bartic group cards. Hey, thanks for reaching out on our website. I mean, we know that personal touch game is critical. It really is. We get a lot of response from that because someone took the time. Your business card's in there. It's a handwritten note, and it ends up in the thing. And they're like, and then they're plus getting all this barrage of touches from you on top of it. They have to feel guilty about picking up the phone. You get a handwritten note card, and you're not going to answer my 4th phone call. Come on.
Hey Frank, I want to stress a point that I think is very important for the audience to understand here. So let's go back to the leads that you're capturing. Wherever the funnel is, you've captured that lead and you're starting F1. Listeners, that means his first attempt, his follow-up 1. Okay, if you were to get 100 leads and you only did the first call and never made another attempt, what do you think? Like what percent of the people would you actually get on the phone if you only called 100 people one time? What do you think that percent would be?
I would say 1 to 3%, and I think 3% would be generous.
Okay, and so after you go through your F1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and everything that you do in between, if you were to buy 100 leads or generate 100 leads, so we know you're only going to get maybe three of them on the phone in the first call. But if you take them through your system, how many of those 100 are you now engaging with?
Yeah, and we gauge that, Greg. We're about 72%.
Okay, so Frank, listen to this, man. Listen to this. So while everyone's trying to figure out how to solve their problem by getting more leads, Brendan has solved his, not that he had a problem, he's created growth by just making sure that he's engaging with a higher percentage of the leads that he already has. So think about what that does to profitability. I mean, it's like if he goes from I buy 100 and talk to 70 versus somebody else buys 100 and talks to 3. I don't know how many times that is. I have to do that one on a calculator. But that's
I think basically
like
Greg just showed you. Yeah, Greg just showed you how not to go broke doing this.
Yes. That's it.
There you go.
And the golden rule is you have to build the system, and it's not a build a system. I mean, this is a one-page flow chart. Even if you don't have the automated, people get stuck, as we know, on trying to build the text campaigns, the email campaigns, and they think that this is like building a spaceship. Even if you just didn't do that and you just really had it in your system to call them 6 days in a row, like you just said, it would change it. And the phrase I use all the time is I go, guys, we have to go deeper, not wider. Right? We just have to go deeper, not wider. I swear, if it wasn't COVID, I would have it in our office on a big, huge thing, you know, but it's like, that's it, right? Everybody just wants to go more and more and more.
Let me just kind of rephrase everything you covered on like what just initially happens when a lead comes in. Because I think anybody watching this can just take some of these things, but yeah, that's a cool process. And then I like to go deeper on the scripting and the language of the note cards and kind of what you say. And maybe you don't have to be exact here, more the principles behind what you say I think are most important. So then people come to language that's theirs. But here's what I got so far. You call them immediately and you have a CRM that knows that. That's key. You call them twice, unbranded. Don't leave a voicemail the first time, leave a voicemail the second time, but just say, call me back. Don't go any more detail that you're a realtor at that point. And you call that the double tap. I love that. I've heard that called war dialing as well. Okay. You call every single day for 6 days. That is a call. I'm sure a voicemail, text, email, trying to reach them. Also, probably on day 1 or day 2, you're looking up their mailing address through True People Search or some skip tracing service. And you're sending them a handwritten note manually, just one handwritten note.
That is correct. Yep.
Okay, just one handwritten note, business card in there. I mean, we'll talk about the scripting for that. After 6 attempts, essentially, they now just go into bin, where now you're just trying to get a hold of them as kind of one big thing versus scheduling like all these follow-up tasks. So someday you have like 100 that are overwhelming and distracting from the real follow-up tasks.
Yep. And then the text campaigns or email campaigns are still running behind the scenes. I mean, and
there is also automated text and email drips, which are compliant because they gave the permission to do it from the website and the terms of service, dripping out behind the scenes, right?
Yep.
Got it. Man, there's no stopping this.
And then also property search. And if it's a seller lead, we still put them on a property search and we just title it. And I want to make this point. It's very important when you're titling searches to make sure that the person's name is in that subject line. So, Susie, I created a custom home search for you. Or Susie, here's the active listings in your neighborhood that are currently competing against you. If it's a seller lead. So
that's a good one.
Yeah, we see that to be very powerful because again, it's all about open rate. If I see my name, then I don't think maybe it'll get less to spam and hopefully get opened, but we're just trying to hedge the bet on any odds of just getting it to be open.
Brendan, on behalf of everyone watching this, we respect the detail.
Yeah,
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah, good.
The person's name in the subject line. You have automated texts and emails going out. In this case, with your real geeks that are dripping, which we'll get to that messaging. I want to talk scripts and language here through all this stuff. If it's a buyer lead, you adjust their buyer search when putting their name in the subject line, probably formatted correctly, not like all caps or whatnot, or all lowercase.
Correct.
And if it's a home buyer lead, they're getting the market updates. And again, adjusting the subject line to include their name. So,
and then also then the last piece, when we call processing 100%, a market report.
Market report. And again, if you guys scroll up in the YouTube comments, if you're just here joining us, if you scroll up, there'll be a comment from Real Geeks on, there's a diagram here that will show this to you. I don't know if it showed the first time I showed it. So I want to speak while my screen shows to the audience really quick. I'm just going to briefly show you like what these diagrams look like if you don't have the link on the YouTube chat. It looks something like this. It goes through, it's very easy to explain to himself and to his agents, and we'll talk about hiring a VA to police this, that this is going on with the agents on your team. This is essentially what this checklist looks like. So you can probably come back to the replay and pause the YouTube video and take a look at this. This is for a new listing lead that comes in. These are all the actions that need to be taken for every single lead to go super deep. And we're essentially going through this process right now. And now what I'd like to do is talk about scripting. I like to talk about what you say on the phones, what you say in the voicemails, what you say on the handwritten notes. So everyone kind of gets an idea of how to approach the messaging, regardless of the media. And everyone, before Brendan shares this, don't write down exactly what he says. That's not the way to do it. Focus on the principles and the feeling and the approach he's taking to come up with what works for you.
Right.
So
And
Brendan,
then
talk to
also,
us.
and then also Frank, just on that flow chart, I just want to give a shout out to Meg Everett. She's my director of operations. She is a flow chart ninja. Like if I would have tried to make that flow chart, it would have never
What
happened.
software did you use? What was the software you used to make that?
I think she just does it in actual Word. I really believe it was done in Word. She's probably going, no, that's not it. But yeah, no, I think that's the other thing too. The takeaway on that flow chart is just what I tell people that I coach is I go, let's get all the steps, even if it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The flow chart makes it pretty, right? That makes it pretty. But first, let's go, what are the 10 steps you do if they don't answer the phone? What's the 10 steps you're going to do if they answer the phone? And just kind of start there and then make it bubbles, right? Make it flow charty. So sorry, just wanted to give her a shout out. She's phenomenal. But all right, let's talk scripts.
Yeah, let's just do, I'm a buyer lead, call me. Right, just opted in.
Yeah. So if is this, they're not answer. So again, if they don't answer the phone, hey, this is Brendan, can you give me a call back? If they answer the phone, everything is related around, I have availability to show you homes this weekend or this week, or nights or weekends better. So I'd be like, hey, Frank, hey, I just got your information. Looks like you had some interest in looking at properties in Aurora. That's fantastic. I actually am available to show you some homes. Are nights or weekends better for you? And that's the line that we literally use right out of the gate. And then you're going to say, go ahead.
I was just looking, man. I mean, who are you?
Yeah, no. My name is Brendan with XYZ Real Estate Company, or with, for us, Keller Williams Real Estate Company. And yeah, no, I was just giving you a call because we had saw that you come through our website, looked like you had some interest, would love to get you out to look at some properties this week.
That'd be cool, man. I don't think I'm interested in that right now. I think I want to maybe buy next year. I was just seeing what's available.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So, well, Frank, if it was the perfect situation, when would you like to be in the new home, or when would you like to purchase the new home?
Probably next year is when I'll be able to be in a position to have a down payment.
Okay. So looking about a year out to get that down payment. Fantastic. And have you started the pre-qualification process? I have an amazing lender that I'd love to have give you a call this afternoon. She'll take you through the entire process because it might be a lot faster and easier than you think.
Well, I've seen the rates are so low, but you probably need a down payment for a house, don't you?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of programs out there. It just depends. I mean, it all depends on your situation. We have no money down. We have very little money down. There's federal grants. So there's all kind of things. The first step, though, Frank, is to literally make sure that Annie has the opportunity to speak with you. She'll let you know, and then we can create a plan that I guarantee will probably get you there a lot faster than you think. So when's the best time for her to give you a call? She could do this afternoon, or is tomorrow better for you?
The lender to figure out how much house I can buy?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can ever give me a call tomorrow.
Okay, perfect. Excellent. And then, since I've got you on the phone, I just want to make sure I have all the best contact information for you. So I'd love to send you a buyer consultation guide that explains this entire process. What's the best home address for you right now?
Yep, it's frank@getviral.com.
Excellent, Frank. And the best email address is frank@gmail.com?
Yeah.
Okay. And obviously, is this your cell phone? Is this always the best number to reach you on?
This is the one you got me on. This is the best.
I love it. And Frank, are you going to be the only one living in the home, or is there going to be anybody else involved in the purchasing process?
It'd be my family, my wife and kids.
Your wife and kids? Oh my gosh. How many kids you got?
2 kids, 5 and 6, 4 and 6, 4 and 5.
Yeah. And then Frank, from here, I would go into building rapport. And this is why, and this could go on and on and on. So what I'm going to then go through is I'm going to go and talk about their perfect dream home. What I find a lot of people do, Frank, is they jump off the phone way too early. Like we were just talking about courting. I'm going to go through here and play we call it 20 questions. It's really for me 100 questions. And I'm going to find out everything I can. So by the end of this conversation, we're homies, right? You're going to be like, oh man, he knows my wife, my thing. He knows what kind of, my dog's name. I'm going to find out what type of property you like, what your dream home look like, if you could have anything on earth. Because what people get scared of is exactly what you just said. I have a 500 credit score and I'm not going to be ready for a year or whatever it might be. Okay, that's cool. That's not what I'm calling. Let's see what we can do. I always want to set that appointment with the lender first, but then I want to go very, very deep on everything about you and what would be the perfect home buying situation and try to keep you on the phone as long as possible.
You measure that like talk time? Like,
yeah.
I want you to try to keep the person on the phone for 30 minutes and I'll give you a reward if you can, type of thing.
Well, that would be difficult because the calls come so randomly, right? These aren't done for Mojo, so you can't really dial it. But we have what we call, and I can also share this later on, is what we call our buyer pre-qual form. We call it our buyer trust qualifier. And
these are the questions that keep them on the phone.
These are the questions that keep them on the phone, because yeah, I'll ask questions like, oh, so great. So what's most important to you? Do you have any pets? Oh, well, what kind of, do you have any toys? How about garage space? Like if it was the perfect situation, would you like to be close to the airport? What's your work like? Where do you work? Oh my gosh, da, 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 da. And then just rapport. And I just want to make sure, again, every call is an opportunity to build a relationship. I've had people that have never bought a house with me that have referred 10 people to me.
Brendan, it's so good.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And he's following following the diagram, by the way. He's following the diagram. Basically, still on the buyer pre-qual script / set buyer consult. Well, we know exactly what he or his staff is going to do, team's going to do when that phone is hung up. They're going to create the new lead in the Real Geeks.
And I felt it too, man. Even when you asked me about my kids.
Yeah.
Like I forgot their ages immediately. I was like, wait a minute, I'm going to really answer. And I do have a 4 and 5-year-old. And it immediately changed the conversation to now being like more adversarial to personal.
Exactly.
And it's so cool that you have questions to give agents to like, how do you do that in that buyer pre-qual form, which I'd love to share. We'll see if we can get it afterwards and post it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that, and we have our listing trust qualifier. So yeah, 2 different questions, because 2 different types of things that are happening there. But yeah, and they're all very comfortable and scripted, and one question leads to the next question, and so on and so forth. But that's my goal. Now, if you would have said, hey, you're possibly more ready now, then I would have set a buyer consultation. So it would have been at our office. And if the office isn't convenient, then I would meet at a Starbucks and I would go through that entire appointment. So, or if one of our ISAs set the appointment, right, we would set the consultation for that.
Let's talk about if I didn't answer. Let's talk about the handwritten note and some of the texts that you would use to get someone to respond.
Sure. Yeah. So the handwritten note is simple. So, hey, Frank, saw that you were on our website looking at properties. I'd love to show you some homes this week. Give me a call, Frank, right? Or whatever it is. I mean, it's really, there's no magic seed to this. A lot of it is there any information I can use that came through on the site? Do I know if they were, the more specific I can be? If they were looking at homes in Denver, then I'm going to say Denver. If they know they were looking at condos, if they're looking at condos, I might say something like, hey, I noticed that you were looking at condos. I have a lot of off-market properties that aren't even on the MLS right now. I'd love to talk to you about all the shadow inventory we have. Give me a call.
Nice.
I'm just trying to always think of ways of why do they need me? And instead
give me some follow-up messaging for a seller lead.
Follow-up messaging for a seller lead, meaning
email, text, trying to get a hold of a seller lead, cash offer lead, instant offer lead.
Oh yeah, well,
home value lead.
You just nailed the head. So we have seller options. So instant cash offer is, and again, all of our text and email campaigns are built around this. So instant cash offer, fix and list program, sell it in 60 days or we'll buy it. So we found that giving these people options, we have a trade-in program, and then our traditional program. But we always try to come with this different options of going, look, there's so many things that we can do to help you as a seller. Just let me know if I can get in front of you, or not let me know. I'd like to meet with you so we can discuss what option might be best for you.
I want to share really quick, and maybe Greg, you can add to this, but there's definitely been a trend in the past couple years with all the iBuyers and the open doors and Zillow offers to add a third option. You typically have buy a home, sell a home, and then there's also some type of instant or guaranteed offer, and there's companies that you can partner with that. We don't have time to go into how you provide those cash offer deals to people, but I just want to pull up your website. It's just the barticgroup.com, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, here it is. So here we go, the barticgroup.com. Here you go, guys. And as you can see, very, very nicely done. And again, search for homes, sell your home, or get a cash offer, that third option there. And you're really following up your seller leads. It sounds like what the messaging is that there's many options. I'll help you understand all your options. Let's talk. Is that right, Brendan?
Yeah, Frank, there's not a one size fits all. We want to make sure that we're delivering to you exactly what makes sense for your scenario. We've got a lot of things to make this process very simple. But again, Frank, you're an individual, your home is unique. Let's get together. Let's talk about your options. I've got availability today at 4, or does tomorrow at 1 work better for you?
Okay. So there's probably a lot more we can spend on more detail on the follow-up. But for time purposes,
and Frank, just so you know too, I have my entire script book with all of our scripts, objection handlers. It's just brendanbartic.com. So just my name, brendanbartic.com. You can go download it. It's everything we use on a daily basis that's helped us along the way. And it's free, no issues, and enjoy it.
Totally feeling cool. Yeah, so go there if you wanted to really kind of get comfortable with what to say. Brendan's made all of those scripts, and we'll get spend time on that there for you. But I think the biggest takeaway is all those things that happen once a lead comes in we shared so far, right? I want to shift the interview here a little bit toward return on investment. And one of the things that stood out to me when we did a little bit of the pre-interview is I said, Brendan, but from the time that you spend, probably a couple $1,000 more now, but I don't want to get caught up in the amounts of money. It's you're spending money on leads, whatever is comfortable for you. And you have to take that lead all the way through to when you get a commission check to get paid back and have your profit, right? And for you, it's 540 days. Is that correct?
That's correct. On average, we might have somebody that hits day one. We might have somebody that hits day 1,000, right? But yes, on average, from all the data that we've been collecting, thanks to Real Geeks, we've been collecting this data for years. That's the average.
So my question for you, Brendan, and for you, Greg, is for an agent that wants to use a service like Real Geeks or a CRM to do AdWords and online lead generation at this level, there's not enough, they don't have enough money to spend for a year and a half until the money comes back. What should your agents do, or what does someone do to deal with that challenging cash conversion cycle of internet leads?
Well, I can go to that immediately. So first of all, if I told any agent before they do anything else is you have to exhaust your current, what we call MET database. You shouldn't even be doing internet leads. You should be going through your center of influence and building that system and making sure that you have a 33 touch or more program for everyone you already know. And people go, well, I don't really know that many people. Yes, you do. And you know more than you do. And I would be exasperating that bucket before I would get into that. So once I have that system built, then I would say, okay, I've really nurtured everything there and the foundation is built. My next biggest, I guess, piece that I would add on to that is it's all going to be what you pay for, right? So if you're going to be paying $5 a lead for Facebook leads, but you know that these leads are not going to be as pre-qualified, does that make as much sense than paying for a higher quality lead, which maybe is, I hate to say, but a Zillow or a Realtor.com or something like that, where there's already kind of been scrubbed for you? Again, you're talking if I'm a new agent, right? And I don't know how to do pay-per-click and I don't know how to do all this.
Correct.
Once I get to those sources though, then you're going to go there. You still have to understand that even with a more expensive lead, you're just paying for them to do the process that you didn't want to do, right? That's all that, so it's going to be one way or the other. They're either washing it more for you to charge you a higher amount, or you're going to do this washing process yourself. So does that answer your question? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, so what I want to share with everyone here is that the title of this video is Bulletproof Lead Follow-Up, which makes the assumption you just go online and buy leads right away and have an ROI. And the answer here is it takes a long time to nurture most of them. In this case, about a year and a half from you. So
Right.
really, to make the economics work of online lead generation, you have to start with loading up your database into the software first, your existing contacts. And one of the documents that is shared again in the YouTube chat is you say agents, hey, we're going to generate some leads for you, go generate some leads, but there needs to be a foundation here of some other business coming in to sustain the year and a half conversion cycle of some of these online leads. And I'll just show this to you really quick. Why don't you just share, everybody watching this can immediately go do this to establish the foundation to then implement the Bulletproof lead follow-up plan, because it takes about a year and a half to convert. So here's Brendan's COI lead flow chart. You add them into the system.
Yep.
Tell me about this.
And so when you see this, so schedule appropriate follow-ups and check-ins. So if for us and every person in our MET database, we're going to call 4 times a year, every 90 days minimum. I don't care what's going to happen. So if I go to put this first person in, I'm going to schedule that follow-up call immediately for 90 days. Now, the second piece is everyone in my center of influence database is also going to be on a search. If they own a home or if they're a potential renter, they're going to either be receiving properties or they're going to be receiving their competitor. We do a homes that are $100,000 above or $100,000 below in their neighborhood, right? And you can use the map search in Real Geeks or whatever it is. So if they own a home every month, and this is a big difference, monthly, not weekly, not daily, especially if this is your center of influence, you send them something daily, they're going to unsubscribe.
That's too much. Yeah.
Exactly. So a lot of this is balancing human nature. So once a month, they're going to receive properties 100 grand up or 100 grand below what's in their neighborhood. And we go, Susan, active homes in your neighborhood, $100,000 up, $100,000 below. People love looking at their neighbors' houses that are for sale, right? So that's an easy touch for us to do.
So take all the homeowners of your Facebook friends, the people in your sphere, and your cell phone people you know, anyone that you think may own a home, reach out and ask them and put them on the home value updates.
That's exactly right. Yep.
Got it.
And then again, market report. So you can add on that extra touch of market report. And
Home value update and what's going on in the market.
That's
messages.
Exactly right. Yep. You want to have the big picture and your neighborhood.
Got it.
Yep. And then what's the real key for us, and this is the killer of most agents, is the 5 personal touches. So in our database with our center of influence, we really try to go deep so our 33 touches are 12 digital market reports, 12 direct mailers. So 1 month something quirky, 1 month something informational, then 4 phone calls a year, and 5 personal touches. And Frank, these 5 personal touches is where agents kind of miss the ball. Is they go, oh, I'm going to send them the old boomerang card that gives them $5 off at Applebee's or whatever it is. Well, that doesn't make your client feel special. That means you just did the cheapest postcard you could possibly send. So we try to first of all, using technology, get their birthday, if you don't already know their birthday. So that's 1 touch. And then the rest of the other 4 are going to be something personal. Are they a mom? Are they a dad? Are they a veteran? Do they love tacos? I'm going to send them a National Taco Day card. I'm going to do something that's individual to them that they go, remember when we talked about courting, they go, Brendan actually knows me and cares about me. And I do. And I'm not saying that it's people go, well, Brendan, you sound like you have this machine. If you're doing anything at a high level, there has to be a process to it. Otherwise you could never touch this many people in a personal way. If I didn't have this, if we didn't have these systems, but it's still personal. I just have reminders reminding me to do nice things. I don't think that's a bad thing. So that's where I feel like we win, is on that personal touch scale more so than anything.
So Greg, I'll let you ask a question here, but I just wanted to share with everyone is yes, it takes time to convert the internet leads. And the elephant in the room is I have to spend the money on leads until I get paid my commission. What do I do in the meantime? Well, existing database.
And process.
Do what Brendan said. And those are all leads essentially too.
Let's make sure though, we're not sending the wrong message, because I think there's one thing I need clarity, and maybe Brendan will comment on. I don't necessarily agree that if you were start buying leads right now, it's going to be 1.5 years before you convert. No, yeah. So I just feel like maybe one way that something was worded, the audience may get that, they may start to believe that, and that could be very discouraging. But I think what we're saying here to the audience is, look, you've just got to understand that you're going to get people at different stages of, you're going to catch them at different phases or stages of their buying, in the funnel. You're going to have some that are going to be really dreamers, and that might take you 1.5 years. But you're going to also capture people that have already been dreaming, and it may take you 1.5 weeks. Yeah. So I think that it's not yet,
right? Just like an open house. Some people might walk into an open house and never be ready to buy a house for 5 years. Somebody might want to walk into that open house and want to buy that house. Right. We don't know. But if you don't have open houses, you're never going to find out.
Yeah. And if you don't follow your process or a process, you're never going to identify, is this 5 years out, or if this is tomorrow. So where people, Frank, are missing, where they go in and buy leads, okay? And if the person doesn't sound like they're a tomorrow lead, then they neglect them. And if you follow that process, you're at risk of losing money from this business model. But if you follow the process of getting these leads, talking to them, listening to them, not rejecting them because the time frame isn't tomorrow, then you'll find you should be converting leads within 90 days, not 1.5 years. You should be converting, but you have to follow these systems. So in our industry, people will say, well, gosh, you go out and buy those leads and you get a bunch of junk and they don't really this and they don't really that. I couldn't get an ROI. It wasn't the lead flow. It was the process. Right. So I think somebody can start off tomorrow buying leads if they have the right process and be profiting within 90 days to 6 months. 90 days for sure.
Thank you for that clarification, Greg.
Yeah, Frank.
Yeah,
That's good.
that's really good clarification because that's 100% correct. But only, not only, but you gotta have the process. There has to be a process there. Otherwise, and this is what Zillow loves, and this is why these companies love it, is they go, buy this zip code, spend $400 per lead, and then they know that it's a 6-month contract for a reason, because that agent's gonna get frustrated after month 1, month 2. They lock them into 6 months, and then by 6 months, that person usually falls off unless they have this system built.
So let's open up some Q&A. So Brendan, I would love for you to email me that buyer pre-qualification form of all those
Absolutely. Yep.
personal questions. Would be wonderful.
Yes, absolutely.
But if you were to go back and watch the replay, which will be right here, you might be watching the replay, but we did this live. It's right here on this YouTube page. So the replay is literally this link. It'll be on demand forever right now. All right. And I think you'll learn a lot. There's some screen shares of some of the processes we showed. The links are here, as well as what Brendan does immediately when a lead comes in to make initial contacts. Good stuff. In the chat, open some questions. Let me just give you some feedback you've gotten, Brendan. This is awesome, smooth. Thank you so much for being so detailed. Thanks a million for sharing this. Thank you. The flow charts are great. And this is Brendan. This is amazing. This is an amazing real estate coach. Thank you for sharing this info. This is gold. Thank you, gentlemen. Yada, yada, yada. Wonderful stuff. Dean asks a great question. What if they give you a phony cell number?
What if they give me a phone?
Phone number doesn't work. Fake phone number on the lead.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Which, I mean, we get, eatme.com email addresses, and that's being nice, right? But yeah, whatever it is. So again, looking at that, well, to answer the question about the cell phone, if I can track them down, if they give a real email address, then the nice thing about Real Geeks is it usually links it to their social media, and I can go connect with them on social media. So I'll message them on Facebook. I will message them on LinkedIn if I can find their LinkedIn. Again, if that email matches. Then using truepeoplesearch.com or anything else, again, unless their name is John Smith or Susan Smith, I'll try and go and source that phone number. We spend a lot of time, and I want to make this a clear point, we spend a lot of time on data searching, data harvesting. And I think that's where a lot of people get frustrated too, is they just see a phony email address and they go, well, that's a dead lead. That's not a dead lead to me. I got to do more work. So yeah, we try to filter them and run them through a process and then even still, if it's a seller lead and I still have a phony phone number and maybe even a bad email address, I'll either door knock or send a handwritten note card.
Tamara asks, any advice for when you get pushback from leads about getting approved, but they want to look at houses?
Oh, every single day of our lives, right? We wouldn't be in real estate if that wasn't the case. Yeah, so on that pushback, again, I always tell agents 2 things too. It depends on your level of time versus your level of how much effort you're going to put into this. So if somebody wants to go look at a house and they haven't been pre-qualified yet, and I'm a brand new agent and I have nothing else going on, hot dog, I'm going to go show that house, right? And that's just how it is. If I'm a more seasoned agent, I'm going to make sure I never get into a car or never go out in the car unless I have something. So it's level of time. They always say, well, never go show anybody without a pre-qual letter. I've sold tons of houses with having people pre-qualified first. I know that's not the golden rule, but I'm saying there's not a black and white here. You're going to get burned sometimes. You're going to make money sometimes. I would rather make an in-person meeting and have the opportunity to meet this person than not. So if that's the issue, then that's the issue. So timing sometimes that. And then the other problem is a lot of times on the pre-qual is if we're having an issue getting them through the pre-qualification process, then I'm not asking the right questions, right? I'm going, okay, can I just ask, is there a reason why, what's the reason? Or is there a credit situation? I'll just really, Frank, try to ask deeper questions to find out. And the technique that I want everybody to understand too is always when you're talking about money, just whisper. Right? When I'm on the phone, I'm like, so what's the deal with this? Is it a cash issue or what's the deal? Not like
that's how you get truth. That's how you don't get the smoke screen.
That's how you not get the smoke screen. If I'm like, so what's the problem with not being able to get pre-qualified, you jerk off? Well, yeah, of course, I'm not going to get the same response. So there is finesse here, but that's how I would handle it.
Yeah, Frank, there's one more thing here. If we can go back and listen to and remember his scripting, okay? What he did when he took the call is he went for the appointment. Actually, I won't call it he went for the appointment. What he really did is he provided what he assumed that the consumer wanted, which was to go look at properties. See, that's different than I'm going to go close for an appointment really quick. He's like, we understand that people are calling us right now to go see property. So he started with, hey, I'm available to show you properties. It's usually the afternoons or the evenings better. And because if you start with the pre-qual before you set the appointment, you're going to have more pushback. If you actually go and start with the appointment and give them what they really wanted, then the law of reciprocation will kick in and you'll have less pushback on the pre-qual. Most agents are thinking, I don't want to waste my time unless they're qualified. So then they go qualifying before setting the appointment. And he went setting the appointment before qualifying. That's a very important distinction there.
It's huge. It's absolutely huge.
That is good. I'm just gonna keep asking questions to keep things moving. Brendan, fantastic, incredible information. I think we delivered what people wanted. This is a good one from Kelly. We were working with so many out-of-town buyers, probably more of a resort market, or people moving there. What is your approach when they may not be in market to show property?
Well, then it's just a waiting game. It's still the courting game. I'm going to make sure I understand the question. If I'm going to show them property via FaceTime, we definitely do that all the time. If they're, I mean, I've had people buy properties that have never.
Yeah, that's kind of the question. How can I show property when they're not here?
Oh yeah, we do FaceTime showings all the time. So, we have, buyers from California, Texas, wherever it is. So we just bring the iPad, take them through, and it's almost like they're there with me. And I'm like, all right, Susie and John, we're going to go take a look at this property. Of course, after the pre-qual's already been done, showing it to them. They've already seen the photos. Sometimes it's just that little extra detail where they were like, I really need to see the back view or whatever it is. So yeah, we FaceTime show clients all the time.
I'm not sure about this, but like if you go to Zillow, it's at the top of my head anecdotally, there's like an option for like a video tour with an agent. It's like a thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like this is a real thing that's been changing, and COVID has sped that up considerably.
100%. Yeah.
And what I've also, and maybe you can say this differently, but we obviously put as realtors very nice pictures and very nice video for marketing the listing, but buyers still want someone to go out there with like an iPhone because I really want to see how it looks more like in reality because I'm really close to buying. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So there's real value in that, to doing that for people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great. Any other questions on guys? What was the company you used for your phone numbers again when you look up mailing addresses?
TruePeopleSearch.com. And then there's Nexus Lexus if you want to pay the more expensive and really, you can get anything. Birth certificates, social security numbers.
Yeah, just go Google skip tracing. It depends upon where the databases you're coming in from. Keep it compliant, but skip tracing goes down that path.
That's
and
what
then more of the public data is probably more like Spokio and Tellius.
Spokio,
been verified. Or some other ones you can use.
Pages.com, 411.com. I mean, there's plenty of service providers out there.
Wonderful.
And then also, like a lot of times on these servers, Frank, is just pay the dollar for the information. They're like, oh, I got to pay $1 to get this person's contact info. You're gonna hesitate on spending $1, right?
Yeah,
spend the buck.
Good stuff.
Right? Yeah.
Well, there we go, guys. So what we'd like to do is a little bit different for keeping it real, because many of you have said maybe you want to talk to Frank and Greg afterwards. We're gonna let Brendan go. Brendan, one last time, where can someone go to get their book of scripts for language of what they should use when they're following up?
Yeah, please. So BrendanBartic.com, all the scripts are there for free. Check out the other programs that we offer. We have coaching, we have a elite progression series, we have one-on-one, we have all those things. So if you need help putting these things into full motion and you want to join the community. And the other thing, Frank, too, is the scripts are great. We do live role play every Thursday at 12 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. I'll send you the link as that as well. Everybody's welcome to join. We have people across the country where you can practice these things and really just make sure that, hey, does this make sense? It's a lot of fun. I really say it's better to sweat in practice than bleed in war, right? So get the practice in, get the sweat in, and check out BrendanBartic.com, and we're more than happy to help you.
So Brendan, thanks for coming on here and bringing so much detail for all of us. Thank you on behalf of the audience and Greg and I. Appreciate you, man.
No.
You can hop off here, and Greg and I are going to have a little overtime.
All right, and thanks. And Greg, again, an honor. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, man. Appreciate you.
Gosh, I appreciate you saying that. I look forward to getting to know you even more.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, Brendan. Wow. Greg, what'd you learn?
First of all, let me just repeat what you just said. Wow. That was very well put together.
It was, wasn't it?
Very, very well detailed. Like I believe the authenticity level with him is extremely high.
Yeah.
Like if we went and visited his office, it's exactly like he just presented it today.
Yeah. A guy like him is
So-
going to attract other people like him.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So, you know, he reminded me of something that I kind of commented on, and that is, you know, the challenge with profitability in when we step into internet leads and purchasing leads, whether it's Zillow or however you may do it, the challenge that the real estate industry has is a bandwidth challenge. A lot of times we can put a couple dollars into play and we can generate more and generate quite a few leads. And then it gets to become where we cherry pick the leads because we don't have time to nurture them properly. And so what he's done is he's used the combination of an ISA and automation to increase his bandwidth. So and it's a very systematic approach. So when they get a lead, they let the technology do a lot of the heavy lifting so they can keep following up, follow up 1, follow up 2, follow up 3. While they're doing follow up 1, 2, and 3, automation is actually assisting them and doing some of the communication also and kind of softening the lead up. That's what's getting him from a 3% answer rate to a 70% connection rate over
That's
a
incredible.
6-day period of time. Well, and I knew the answer to that because I know we discovered that years ago, that the ratio that people are tracking in our industry is contact to contract. The ratio they should be tracking in our industry is capture to contact. See, his capture to contact ratio is 70%, where the industry is probably less than 10%. So he's 700% more than everybody right there. And so that one, the capture to contact ratio is a ratio that's influenced by systems like you just shared, things you can control. The contact to contract ratio is influenced by an agent's skill sets. So it's easier to actually put in the systems and improve your capture to contact ratio than it is to improve your skill sets. Skill sets takes 1 to 2 years to really influence the capture to contract or the contact to contract ratio. But this process, you can put this in place in the next 30 days and go from a 10% capture to contact ratio to a 70% capture to contact ratio, which means if your skill sets stay the same, you should have a 700% increase in your business.
Wow, that's good. That's really, dude. It's, you know, and one of the things
And that's what he's doing. That's what he's doing.
And here's the leverage
exactly
too.
what he's doing.
Yeah, as a team. And
Yeah.
I want to talk to some of the people here who maybe have teams or agents. You know, one of the things we didn't get to that we talked about in the pre-interview before this was he has a virtual assistant, someone overseas, no, not too demanding on payroll, but basically said, look, here's exactly what I expect to happen for a buyer lead. Here's exactly what I expect to happen for a seller lead. And when my agents upload their database, here's exactly what I expect to happen. So that person, that supervisor, that quality assurance specialist, if you will,
quality assurance,
knows what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're just sitting there staring at the CRM all day long, inspecting what you expect. Because when you're spending the money he's doing, it's probably in the several thousands of dollars. You're probably laying in bed having a panic attack at night, being like, is everyone doing what they're supposed to be doing? Yes. Right?
Yeah.
And that quality assurance person, by writing down your bulletproof lead follow-up procedures that you're going to follow with every single new lead, now you can give it to somebody to enforce and to supervise if you are running a team to not just increase it 700% for yourself, but among all your agents.
Yeah.
We got a couple questions here for us. I think this is good for you, Greg. Maria asks, you wish we'd have asked this question. What do we do if we have not talked to our COI for years? How do we get reconnected with them without being awkward? Just give me a couple minutes on that, Greg.
Yeah, you know, number one, a lot of that is just a mental block. Okay, so I think there's a two-step process. There's what do we do, but then there's, okay, you know, how can we shift our mindset right now? Because we all have been there. We've all had this whole group of centers of influence that we've neglected, and now it's like, oh, is it going to be weird if I call them now? But if they're your centers of influence, what I would just say is you go out and reach out to them. You say, hey, Frank, just wanted to touch base with you. I was doing some work in the office, and I mean, I haven't crossed paths with your name in quite a while. I just wanted to touch base with you. I just it flashed over my desk. I just want to check and see how things are going. And I would, if you're feeling like you haven't talked to COI, then I would just randomly call them. And I would not talk real estate. I would just say, hey, just wanted to check in to see how things are going. I will promise you 90% of them are going to say, hey, how's the market? They're all going to say it. And so you'll let them pull you into the real estate conversation instead of trying to pull them into the real estate conversation. That'll make it less awkward. And then from there, once you go through, and you just have to do this one initial time with your database, and then once you get back on track, then it's a quarterly call.
I would add to that, invite people to a workshop. It's really hard to reach out to people that you know, being like, hey, you want to give me money or use me to buy or sell a home? It's weird. It's hard. And that's something that can't be done, but it's still difficult.
Yeah.
It's easier to have a different offer. In marketing, we call it a secondary offer, an offer a little higher up the funnel, if you will. I was just talking to a lady the other day. She has a fantastic business. She has a team. She does one thing to get all of her leads, and she runs Facebook ads to first-time homebuyer workshops. She teaches on webinars. Mm-hmm. That's it. And she also uses it to reach out to the database to invite them to a webinar. And she used to do them in person, but now they're online because of COVID. But that's a really good excuse and a reason to reach out to someone. Obviously, to recruit personally, Greg, primary reason. But also know I got you online. I'm teaching some stuff now to whatnot. I'd love to invite you to one of my webinars or workshops I'm teaching. So. Yeah, everyone's just really, guys, it's really cool to be back doing these. So for those of you that have watched Frank, I have a little bit less hair now. I'm married. I have kids.
Mine's gray.
Yeah, mine's gray.
God.
I might have a few more pounds on me with the years of COVID. If you go back and watch young Frank Klesitz from 2014. So thanks for being here. Is there any other, let's just ask you a couple more questions. Are there any other things that stood out from you, Greg, that maybe you're going to go take back and maybe bring up at your team meeting of saying, we got to really look at this little, tweak this little piece in your organization from what you learned today? What are you going to take away from this, Greg?
Yeah, one of the things, because I do retargeting, he does retargeting, but I have a feeling he's doing a lot more retargeting, and because of that, he's probably driving his lead costs down. So that's something that's important. Like when we talk about retargeting, I guess we should say what is retargeting, right? So what is retargeting would be, let's just take the existing database that he's created already. He's very likely, he has probably exported his database out of his Real Geeks account. And he's probably uploaded it to Facebook as a custom audience and then ran some additional Facebook ads to kind of re-engage them, retarget them, constantly be top of mind, and then push them back to the website and get them active again. So he's probably done a lot of stuff like that. He could be doing pixelated retargeting where there's some pixels dropped on his on certain pages on his website. And even though he never captured them as leads, he can actually run some Facebook ads, retarget the people that landed on that certain page, maybe the home page or maybe a different page, and retargeted those people and then got them into his captured them on his website because of the ads that he ran on Facebook. So these are ways that you can actually drive your lead costs down and keep your lead quality kind of like good, if not a little bit better. That's what I look at it. So I just think we need to make that note of what is retargeting, why would you do it, how can I get my lead costs down? These are
he didn't say that, but I was able to. If you guys caught that little tip, I'm going to give you a little marketing guru insight. Is the Facebook ad library?
Oh, that dude, I wrote that one down. I was like, I don't think we know about that one.
Greg,
I'm in.
Greg, I don't have to come up with any ad copy anymore.
Yeah.
Any industry, any vertical, any niche. I figure out who's doing well. Great. Goes through their Facebook ads. Memory jogger right there for messaging.
Great.
Back in the day, I would hire a VA to like listen to the radio to record the ads people were running on the radio on talk shows, because that would help me know what the message of the market is or the message of the moment was to influence other ad copy for clients.
Yeah.
Now you don't have to just go on the Facebook ad library. You could type in anyone's page, anyone's, and you can see all the ads that they're running. It's so funny, dude,
that's
too.
awesome.
Like I'll hear people say I'm crushing on Facebook. I'm like, bro, I can't find any ads you're running. I don't say anything.
There you go. But for people that are listening, for real estate agents, I mean, I don't know how many times I see in like some of the private Facebook pages or some of the Facebook master or the agent pages, mastermind groups. And people are constantly, what's the best ad? And, does anybody run any ads that work? My ads are not converting. I'm hearing that all the time. So yes, with that little tip that you gave him, Frank, I think everyone, if you hear somebody touting how well they're doing on Facebook, now Facebook ads matter, or Facebook ads library, go ahead and type in their Facebook page. You're going to see their ads, and then and do A/B testing against your own ads and see how they perform.
Let me tell you what I did, Greg, is I went to the Real Trends top 1,000. So here's all the top agents in the entire country. And I looked up all their Facebook pages and to find out what type of ads are working, to find common themes.
Yeah. Wow. That's
just kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a little cool tip, because you're probably wondering, like, well, what's the message I run for the ads to get even leads in the first place? Right. That's actually pretty available. Facebook has made that too. Let's see if there's one more thing you can take away, Greg, with a little overtime with us. Hope you guys are enjoying this. What's the other takeaway? What are you going to go implement, Greg, today?
Yeah, the other thing that I would say that I took away, because I did take some notes here. The other thing that I took away is that I'm interested to see what his buyer trust qualifier form looks like. And
I'm going to ask him to send that to us.
Yeah. And so, but the takeaway, whether or not I ever see it or I don't see it, the takeaway is, it's just so important to build that rapport early on in the relationship. Like he's building that rapport on the first call. And what it tells me is he's probably thinking more about serving the consumer than actually capturing a commission check. And we know the people who serve the consumer at the highest level tend to capture the highest amount of commission checks. And so he's just going to be able to forget about that side and just say, build trust, build trust, build trust. And so, okay, what is my takeaway? I want to be more intentional about building trust.
Yeah.
Be more intentional about building trust.
This is going to go old school.
Oh, I like old school.
Super old school. I remember being in high school and like going to the library, like I want to be successful. So I go sit down at Borders.
You were kind of a nerd, weren't you?
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. Yeah. I was a nerd. Good. And
everybody loves the nerd.
Yeah. I would go sit at Borders on a Friday night when everyone's out drinking and like reading business books, because I wanted to do something with my life. And I remember reading a book by Harvey Mackay, and he built an envelope company. And it reminds me of like Dunder Mifflin on The Office, where it's like, I sell paper. It's a commodity. Like it's paper and it competes on price. And he's like, I built this amazing envelope company, Harvey Mackay. And how did I sell envelopes? Because it was a commodity. And he created what's called the Mackay 66. I just Googled it. Literally, dude, this is like 15 years ago in my head, and I still found it. Here it is. It's called the Mackay 66. And it's basically probably a version of Brendan's questions. Here's all the questions that he went through on all of his buyers of envelopes at businesses to know everything about them personally. And there were 66 questions on here that he wanted to know the answers to on every single account. And he taught all of his salespeople to know the answers to all these things on the accounts, so the buyers would buy the envelopes from him. And I just Googled it, Mackay 66. You probably learn more about it, but I think that's the direction. I don't have his specific question or maybe the real estate one, but I don't think it has anything to do with real estate. A good memory jogger, if we don't get it, I'll get it to post it, and I'll follow up and see if I can get it here in the comments, is to go check out the Mackay 66 to come up with your own personal questions that you can scale and train to build that personal rapport with somebody.
I'm glad that we're talking about this, Frank, because in the last 5 years, and I'm choosing 5 years randomly as a number. We've leaned so heavily on technology and automation, and I'm a big believer in technology and automation. Okay, but we've leaned. I think we may have went a little too far, where we're trying to automate our intimate connection, and I don't think anyone's really automated it. I think it still requires some sort of personal touch. And
I felt
so,
it, man. When I was doing the role
yeah,
play with him and he asked me about my
yeah,
kids, it
yeah.
immediately
You started like studying, like you went from role play to,
yeah.
wait, I'm lying. I need to tell the truth.
I did lie.
Yeah, I'm
I
lying
made up
about my
names of my
age kids.
kids. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not the names of my kids. I started
Yeah,
thinking about my kids
yeah. So then you were
and
like,
the
you were
ages.
in, right? It was fantastic how that his delivery, and that's what was going on. But what I think we need to understand as an industry, and just maybe as human beings, is we got to bring some of that personal touch, that intimate connection back into our life. I'm going to say our lives. But I know this is real estate and this is business, but I think as we bring that back in, we actually stand out. You know, years ago we would stand out. Years ago we were connecting, and there's so much personal touch that you didn't stand out. That was just what everyone did. Now, then it became, you stood out amongst the real estate industry. It's like, wow, this guy's great with technology, and now everybody's doing it. And to the consumer, it's like we're just like a bunch of robots. If we want to stand out for the next couple of years, especially with what we've been dealing with around our country lately, if we want to stand out, let's bring personal touch back into it. Let's bring humanity back into it. Let's bring, it's about the customer again. Let's bring that back into it. And I think that is going to be a very, very, very good way to attract a lot of business.
Cool. Well, I would say for those of you that want the questions of how you convert to asking personal questions, go check out that Harvey McKay character in the McKay 66. I wrote that down for myself, and just the handwritten notes, man. You know, we're talking about Facebook retargeting, dynamic retargeting, but I also like the handwritten notes. So that's all I got, guys. That's a little overtime with Frank and Greg. I hope you enjoyed. We'll be doing these shows every 2 weeks. Make sure you go to realgeeks.com. I'm sorry, incorrect. Go to keepingitreal.com. All right, keepingitreal.com. Put your email address in to subscribe to get the show. You can watch the replay right here. Greg, great show today. Welcome to
That
back.
was awesome. Fantastic, man. I'm happy to be doing this. Can't wait till 2 weeks to do